In his book, Beyond the Good and the Bad, Nietzsche says, with regard to German music, I consider precaution necessary in various ways. Assuming that a person loves the South as I love it, as a great training school for health of soul and sense in their highest potency, as an uncontrollable flood and glamour of sunshine spreading over a race of independent and self-reliant beings, well, such an one will learn to be more or less on his guard against German music, because while spoiling his taste anew, it undermines his health. I'm going to repeat that because I didn't get anything out of it. In his book, Beyond the Good and the Bad, Nietzsche says, with regard to German music, I consider precaution necessary in various ways. Assuming that a person loves the South as I love it, as a great training school for health of soul and sense in their highest potency, as an uncontrollable flood and glamour of sunshine spreading over a race of independent and self-reliant beings, well, such an one will learn to be more or less on his guard against German music, because while spoiling his taste anew, it undermines his health. Such a Southlander, not by descent but by belief, must, should he dream of the future of music, likewise dream of a redemption of music from the North, while in his ears there rings the prelude to a deeper, mightier, perchance a more evil and more mysterious music, a super-German music, which does not fade, wither, and die away in view of the blue, sensuous sea and the splendor of Mediterranean skies, as all German music does. A super-European music that asserts itself even amid the tawny sunsets of the desert, whose soul is allied with the palm tree and can consort and prowl with great, beautiful, lonely beasts of prey. I can imagine a music whose rarest charm should consist in its complete divorce from the good and the bad, only that its surface might be ruffled, as it were by a longing as of a sailor for home, by variable golden shadows and tender frailties, an art which should see fleeing toward it from afar off the hues of a perishing moral world become well-nigh incomprehensible, and which should be hospitable and profound enough to harbor such belated fugitives." End of quote. And Tolstoy transmutes a landscape impression into a musical impression when he writes in Lucerne, quote, "Neither on the lake, nor on the mountains, nor in the skies, a single straight line, a single unmixed color, a single point of repose. Everywhere movement, irregularity, caprice, variety, an incessant interplay of shades and lines, and in it all the reposefulness, softness, harmony, and inevitableness of beauty." End of quote. Will this music ever be attained? Quote, "Not all reach nirvana, but he who, gifted from the beginning, learns everything that one ought to learn, experiences all that one should experience, renounces what one should renounce, develops what one should develop, realizes what one should realize, he shall reach nirvana." End of quote. That's from Kern. Geschichte des Buddhismus in Indien. And then there's a footnote. As if anticipating my thoughts, M. Vincent d'Indy has just written me, quote, it's a bunch of French, never mind. I'm going to do it anyway. "Les sons d'écoute les contingencies et les petitesses de la vie pour regarder constamment vers un idéal qu'on ne pourra jamais atteindre. Mais dont il est permis de se rapprocher." End of quote. If nirvana be the realm beyond the good and the bad, one way leading thither is here pointed out. A way to the very portal, to the bars that divide man from eternity, or that open to admit that which was temporal. Beyond that portal sounds music, not the strains of musical art. Footnote. I think I have read somewhere that Liszt confined his Dante symphony to the two movements, Inferno and Purgatorio, quote, "because our tone speech is inadequate to express the felicities of paradise." End of quote. End of footnote. It may be that we must leave earth to find that music, but only to the pilgrim who has succeeded on the way in freeing himself from earthly shackles shall the bars open. Addenda. Feeling, like honesty, is a moral point of honor, an attribute of whose possession no one will permit denial, which claims a place in life and art alike. But while in life a want of feeling may be forgiven to the possessor of a more brilliant attribute, such as bravery or impartial justice, in art feeling is held to be the highest moral qualification. In music, however, feeling requires two consorts, taste and style. Now, in life, one encounters real taste as seldom as deep and true feeling. As for style, it is a province of art. What remains is a species of pseudo-emotion which must be characterized as lachrymose hysteria or turgidity. And above all, people insist upon having it plainly paraded before their eyes. It must be underscored so that everybody shall stop, look, and listen. The audience sees it, greatly magnified, thrown on the screen so that it dances before the vision in vague, importunate vastness. It is cried on the streets to summon them that dwell remote from art. It is gilded to make the destitute stare in amaze. For in life, too, the expressions of feeling, by mean and words, are oftenest employed. Rarer and more genuine is that feeling which acts without talk, and most precious is the feeling which hides itself. Feeling is generally understood to mean tenderness, pathos, and extravagance of expression. But how much more does the marvelous flower emotion enfold? Restraint and forbearance, renunciation, power, activity, patience, magnanimity, joyousness, and that all-controlling intelligence wherein feeling actually takes its rise. It is not otherwise in art, which holds the mirror up to life, and still more outspokenly in music, which repeats the emotions of life, though for this, as I have said, taste and style must be added. Style, which distinguishes art from life. What the amateur and the mediocre artist attempt to express is feeling in little, in detail, for a short stretch. What the amateur and the mediocre artist attempt to express is feeling in little, in detail, for a short stretch. Feeling on a grand scale is mistaken by the amateur, the semi-artist, the public, and the critics too, unhappily, for a want of emotion, because they all are unable to hear the longer reaches of. Feeling on a grand scale is mistaken by the amateur, the semi-artist, the public, and the critics too, unhappily, for a want of emotion, because they all are unable to hear the longer reaches as parts of a yet more extended whole. Feeling, therefore, is likewise economy. Hence, I distinguish feeling as taste, as style, as economy. Hence, I distinguish feeling as taste, as style, as economy. Each a whole in itself, and each 1/3 of the whole. Within and over them rules a subjective trinity, temperament, intelligence, and the instinct of equipoise. These six carry on a dance of such subtlety in the choice of partners and intertwining of figures and the bearing and the being born and advancing and curtsying and motion and repose that no loftier height of artistry is conceivable. When the chords of the two triads are in perfect tune, fantasy may, nay must, associate with feeling. Supported by the six, she will not degenerate, and out of this combination of all the elements arises individuality. The individuality catches, like a lens, the light impressions, reflects them, according to its nature, as a negative, and the hearer perceives the true picture. Insofar as taste participates in feeling, the latter, like all else, alters its forms of expression with the period. That is, one aspect or another of feeling will be favored at one time or another, one-sidedly cultivated, especially developed. Thus, with and after Wagner, voluptuous sensuality came to the fore. The form of intensification of passion is still unsurmounted by contemporary composers. On every tranquil beginning followed a swift upward surge. Wagner, in this point insatiable but not inexhaustible, turned from sheer necessity to the expedient, after reaching a climax, of starting afresh softly to soar to a sudden new intensification.